So welcome everyone to a commentary on the Yogasutra based on your true self. And the Yogasutra that I want to talk about today is 2.8. It's a very, very relevant Yoga Sutra, I feel, for many of you that are actually here all to help with this shift of consciousness. And why this Yoga Sutra is so relevant is because it talks about aversion, hatred, not dislike, all these forms that are also resulting ultimately from the perception of the separate self. But it is also about this end game, like really knowing what you are here for and what is the prevalent energy that actually catapults a shift of consciousness and that catapults everyone actually. And that is not aversion, but love. And it is a huge growth cycle for everyone to actually also come into knowing what is love, what is divine love, what is the impartial love, because it is not known anymore so much within this world what that actually means to that each one actually is that love, but that love that you all are is impartial to what is happening, impartial to appearances, and by that, because it is no longer identified as a stance, it actually has the capacity to include and to love what is without the stipulation. And when we talk about aversion and hatred and all these ways, it is always helpful to also think of previous masters that have all been rejected, tortured, killed, neglected, all these manipulated, attacked, all these forms that that happen and that have stood for the love. And this love isn't even a despite love. It isn't despite something. It comes from the impartial love of the self, this deepest dimension of yourself that holds no more subjective stance, and that is actually also able to offer a neutrality to what appears. This neutrality also can come from the understanding that you have when some of you that are on this path inside, when you start abiding as awareness and you are starting to experientially actually come into the understanding that this world comes alive in your awareness through thoughts and perceptions. It means it is all intrinsically a part of you. Now, what can you do when you face aversion? It is the first thing is really coming back to what you are, remembering yourself, abiding as awareness, going to the space of I am, that is the void, coming back to your own neutrality. And from this space, knowing that what arises, arises within you, and that what arises, arises out of the sea of self, out of divinity, out of source. It means that all manifestation, even what the mind, what we don't understand, arises from source, and it is nothing else but source. It is not limited, and it is also not anything less than source. And so it is for you also to see more and more the perfection of this moment that will not repeat itself in the same way, with all these appearances that are in it, with all the thought forms in it, and to come from that wisdom will help you tremendously. Just see it also as divine, see it as the intensity, but also actually as the beauty of this negative, or what we presume is negative. That's also our label. And in terms of these aversion patterns, Patanjali says in the beginning that a negative mindset, like this negativity, is often a sign of extreme suffering, and it comes from ingested patterns, actually, ingested conditioning. And what often happens is, first of all, this identification to these kind of patterns or thoughts or behaviorisms that are taken on, and also a blindness to them. And what often comes with these kind of patterns that get conditioned in childhood is that they are on autopilot, and that there isn't even a deeper wisdom about them, and it often gets reinforced. And it sounds really weird, but there is often also a search for the reinforcement. You want to be neglected. You want to be abused. You want to be this or that. It sounds really harsh, but it is part of what this conditioning does, until there is actually this deep insight of what has been reinforced, or what I hope for all of you, an even deeper insight, namely, you are none of these patterns. None of you is any of these negative patterns. None of you is bound by them at all. And it is for you to find this impartial space of I am. It is to become really clear about it. It is to start witnessing. It is to learn this, to really know where the person ends and you begin, actually, and to come back into that wisdom. Now, on the level of negative thought forms and negative consciousness, also, there's also a lot going on this relative level. And many of you might feel that your consciousness is sometimes actually taken in by something that's negative, or some thoughts are appearing that don't actually represent who you are, that are sort of hijacked or sort of attacked. Now, this is also relatively true, especially as you are here to actually be a beacon for consciousness, There's a huge awareness around all of you that are here for consciousness. Who are these people? But on another level, again, it is all source, and it is all arising out of source and also out of you as presence, you as awareness. But what ends this game continuously, no matter if you have realized what you are, whether you are on the path to it and abiding as awareness and becoming more strongly actually also engaged in witnessing and meditating, or whether you are not. It is always to bring love to what is, and to also stop this whole game and stop this whole notion of righteousness and of aversion towards others. Is always, where does it stop? And we all know it stops with us, that we are not reinforcing this, that we are not reacting in that way, that we are no longer doing all these kind of things. It's just it's for you to also become aware what is the end game, where does peace actually is what you are. It's for you to discover yourself as that, but also to become that beacon. A beacon for truth, the beacon for love, the beacon for peace, the beacon for consciousness, the beacon for whatever you are intrinsically feeling you are actually here for. You're already here for that. So this Yogasutta, I think, is so important. It's such an important part of this whole journey that you are all on. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to my videos. And it is that he says also that what happens from aversion when we lean onto it, dukkha. And Sanskrit, the word dukkha is such also, these words for me is such beauty always revealed. There's such joy in their intelligence. And dukkha comes from duch and ka. And duch means constricted and ka means space. What it denotes is a constricted heart space. But it also denotes the widest space of who we all are, our unified essence, the constriction that happens as aversion is happening. So all these different levels, I hope that they support you in your finding and support you on your journey. That's all it is. Namaste.